everyone, it's Dianne at Minerva. I hope you're all having a super week, and today I'm going to share with you a make for one of our exclusive Minerva patterns. Today we're going to be making the Evie Tunic, this one right here. So it's a beautiful little top, it'll come in really handy. It has a lovely relaxed finish, perfect for everyday wear. We have a banded neckline, a drop raglan 3/4 sleeve and a curved hem. So a really lovely casual shape, and it's going to be a lovely make. Now we do recommend that you use a stretch viscose, a bamboo blend, or maybe a stretch jersey for this one. You do need a fabric with a nice fluid drape, and that's why we're using this one today. So this one is a stretch bamboo. It's available in 17 colours, and this particular shade that we're using today is grape. So I'm sure you're going to find something that you love. I really do love this shade. Now a little more about the top. So it's easy to make, a nice easy construction. As I mentioned, we do have that nice modest banded neckline right there. The sleeves, the raglan sleeve, are really easy to construct, and it's really nice and size inclusive. So as with all our Minerva patterns, this one today comes from a size A to a J, and that is a size 2 UK to a size 20. So we're looking at a 31¼ bust up to a 42¼ bust for this one. Now we do get this lovely instruction booklet which is full of handy tips, fitting advice, what needles to use, finished garment measurements so you can get a better idea of what fits best for you. And throughout we've got excellent cutting layouts and full instructions, so detailed diagrams so that you can follow along with the booklet. So that is really handy too. So our fabric, this bamboo stretch jersey, is lovely and fluid, so that's going to hang really well on our top. We do need to wash and prepare that before we begin, so wash that, give it a good press, and then once you've done that, we're ready to begin cutting our pattern pieces together. So let's go and do that now. Here are our pattern pieces for our top. So here is the front bodice. You're going to cut one piece on the fold. The fold line is here. Make a note of the markings. Here is the back bodice. You're going to cut one on the fold. The fold line is here. Note your markings. Here is the sleeve. We're going to cut two. Cut them as a pair. The straight grain is this way. Note your markings. Here we have the neckband. You're going to cut one on the fold line is here. Note these markings here. Now we're ready to begin making our top. So first of all, wind half of your thread onto your machine spool and then check your needle is sharp. So I'm using a ballpoint size 80 today. You will need a stretch or ballpoint needle for this fabric. Then when you've done that, we're ready to begin making our top. So let's get started. Now first of all, you're going to overlock the lower edges of your front and back bodice. Now if you don't have an overlocker, you could zigzag finish this, so play around with your stitch length and width of your zigzag finish and just catch it on the edge if you'd like to do it that way. And as it's a stretch fabric, you will need to use a stretch stitch or a zigzag stitch. Change your stitch length and width and then test this on a piece of scrap fabric before we begin. Now when you've edge finished the bottom of your tops, front and back, you want to turn it up to the wrong side like this at 1.5 centimetres, give it a press, and I've just added a few pins, and I've added those from the right side through to the wrong side, and then from the right side of the top we're going to top stitch that hem in place at 1.3 centimetres. Now you're going to add in your sleeves, so take your front bodice piece like this, and then you're going to take your armholes and you want to find the front. So the front has one notch on the armhole or on the sleeve, and the back has two like this. So you want to take the side with one notch and you want to place it right side facing right side with the front piece like this. And do the same on the other side, and then we're going to pin them in place. Now stitch in place with a 1.5cm seam allowance, and then overlock or edge finish your seams once you've done that, and press the seam towards the front. Now repeat these steps with the back bodice piece. So you're now attaching the back bodice to those sleeves, but this time we have the double notch. So we have the double notch here and the double notch here. Again, right sides together. So bring the right sides together, pin it in position, pin it the rest of the way. We're going to stitch that with a 1.5cm seam, overlock or edge finish it in your chosen method, and then we will be pressing that seam towards the bodice. Stitch that in place with a stretch or zigzag stitch. Now you're going to bring right sides together and you're going to align the side seams and the underarm seams like this. So here is the curve of your sleeve. We're going to sew from here, the bottom of the sleeve, all the way along. I would reinforce here at the underarm point. Then we're going to stitch down to the bottom and line up our curved edges just here. Back tack at the bottom. We're going to do this with a 1.5cm seam allowance. Then either overlock or edge finish it and press that seam towards the back. Fold the tail ends of your overlocking threads up inside the side seam. Press it towards the back, and I've just caught it in with the hem stitching just here. So once it's folded over, if you catch it from the top like that, and the tail ends are on the inside of that fold, do the same on the other side. Now press up your hems 1.5cm to the wrong side. You will need to either overlock or edge finish it first. If you're not doing either of these methods, you could turn it under 6mm and then turn it under again. Once you've done this, you're going to top stitch it from the right side 1.3cm away from the folded edge. Now you're going to take your neckband piece, and with right sides together you're going to place the short edges together like this and stitch in place with a 1.5cm seam allowance. Once you've done this, we're going to press it open and flat. Next, fold in half lengthways like this with wrong sides together, and you're going to give that a press. Now with right sides facing, you're going to pin your neckband to your neckline like this. So that seam wants to line up with the centre back point, so you have a marking just here. And then the next two markings on the band go to the centre point of the raglan just here on each side. And then you have the centre front point marked and the centre front point marked just here on your band. So make sure all those points line up. You will need to pull on it a little just to bring it to it. And then once you have that pinned in place, we're going to stitch with a 1.5cm seam allowance. After we've done this, we're going to trim away some of the excess. Now at this point, if you have one, you can add in a Minerva maker label or a label of your choosing. And we're going to add that in at the centre back point. So just line it up with that centre back seam there and stitch in place just here. Now press your seam down towards your top, and we're going to top stitch around the neck edge, so we're catching that band seam to the top here at 3mm. So here is the finished top. As you can see, it's quite long, so it comes down. Here is my waistline. Comes down just to the hip. We've got that curve at the side just there. Hangs onto the bottom. 3/4 length sleeve, and it's a loose fit. So it's very fluid, that's why we need a fluid fabric for this one. Has a nice shape and a lovely drape. Well, I hope you've enjoyed sewing along with me today. I think this is a really lovely top to make. Nice basic instructions, easy for a beginner I feel, as long as you use the correct stitch and the correct needle. So a nice easy make, and it's a lovely casual comfy fit, and it would go with lots of separates. So I look forward to seeing what you've made. So remember to include any photographs of this pattern in all the different fabrics. So include those photographs with your comments, and we look forward to seeing what you've been up to. Remember, you can take a look at the Minerva Craft Club to get 10% of all your orders for a whole year, and of course join our online sewing community. It's all completely free and a great place to gain some inspiration. That's all from me for today, but I hope to be back soon with more sewing inspiration for you. Thank you so much for watching today. Bye for now.